Retro gang, what's going on? It's your boy Crypto. Hope everybody out there feeling good. We got another video for y'all today. Today we're talking about the 2023 NBA playoffs. And man, was this an insane year for NBA playoff basketball? I mean, just completely things that you could not predict. I feel that all the series were pretty good, pretty interesting, even though that some of them, were sweeps, 5-game series. I think that they were all pretty competitive and had a lot of, emotion behind them and just players fighting for their lives. So initially, I was going to make a video just ranking the top 3 teams I think had the best chance of winning the NBA championship and getting through the playoffs. And I'm not going to lie, half the teams I had coming out the first round didn't make it out the first round. Yeah, so it was just, crazy upsets, things that we thought wouldn't happen happened. So first, I'm going to just talk about the first round series for a little bit, tell you what I thought about it and how I thought those series went that way and why. But for the most part, we're just going to talk about who we think are going to win going forward and why these teams have the slight edge. All right, so first we have to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat. And man, was it a crazy series that no one saw coming, even the hardest diehard fan for the Miami Heat. And the most shocking thing to me, not that the Bucks went out being the first seed, losing in the first round and all of that, but the Miami Heat just lost to the Atlanta Hawks in the play-in tournament, convincingly. And no disrespect to Atlanta. I love Atlanta, forever will love Atlanta, but they kind of suck. Well, they suck, bro. And I wouldn't put money on Atlanta beating the Heat in a 7-game series, but at least Atlanta beat the Heat with Tyler Hero. The Heat basically beat the Bucks with no Tyler Hero when he broke his hand in the first game. So that just makes it even crazier that they did that. And yes, I'm aware of Giannis hurting his back in game 1. So he was hampered probably for the rest of the series, but it was multiple games where the Bucks had double-digit leads in the second half, and they just allowed it to slip away, even at home in Game 5. And I believe that there's many people like me who believe that the Heat could beat the Bucks in a 7-game series, but no one picked them in 5 games. To close out the Bucks in Milwaukee on their home court, being the best team in the NBA with the best record is just insane. You must give the Heat a lot of credit. I don't think anybody really gave them a chance against this Bucks team. Even losing Tyler Hero, his 20 points per game, it's just they kept fighting and they beat them. And I also feel like Giannis had a little bit of bad karma coming back to him. I know y'all remember this video.
Joker, how are you going to make it through the finals where you look like you can barely make it through a Burger King drive-thru? Jokic, I love your game.
No, it's like this. Go back, prompter. Hey, Jokic, Joker, how are you going to make it through the finals when you look like you can barely make it through a Burger King drive-thru? Kevin Durant, let's go.
You keep joining super teams to win the NBA title. How about we work out together sometime so I can teach you how to carry your own team?
I like that one. It was a little simpler.
KD, where's the camera?
Where's the camera?
KD, you're one of the best scorers to ever play this game. I respect your game. You've led by example for 15 years. So you were my favorite player growing up.
I hate this. Entertain me.
I respect your game.
I do believe Giannis is the best player in the league currently, so he could talk as crazy as he wants to and put as much as a target on his back as he pleases. But he only played 3 games this postseason, averaging 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. Not bad stats, but average for someone of Giannis's stature, and obviously not enough to get past the Miami Heat in the first round. This series is really interesting. I'm just going to label it an anomaly because the one game that the Bucks won, game 2, no Giannis. They beat them basically just straight role players with Chris Middleton not having a great game, just Drew Holiday and Brook Lopez carrying majority of the load. Even though the Bucks were able to build big leads in these games, they weren't able to keep them and put them down or stop Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and the rest of the crew. So basically just tip your hat to Jimmy Butler, Eric Spoelstra, Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, Caleb Martin, everybody on the Miami Heat team. They balled out. Congratulations to y'all boys. Good luck.
But Kyle Lowry.
East first round, Milwaukee in 5. The Bucks are so good, they miss Giannis for 19 games, Chris Middleton for 49 games, still had the best record in the NBA. This was the easiest series to predict. Let's move on.
On to the second saddest story in the East. So we have the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the New York Knicks. And the 4-5 matchup is always a tricky one. But I mean, man, I did not expect this one. This one was just as much as a shocker to me as the Bucks and the Heat series. Maybe my expectations for this Cavs team with Donovan Mitchell as his best player was a little high. But I mean, I love the team around it. I love Evan Mobley, Darius Garland. Karis LeVert can go give you 30 on any night. But it just never came together for the Cavs this series. Not great shooting all series. They got utterly destroyed on the boards basically every game. Don't see how this happened with 2 7-footers and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. A decent defensive team. They were ranked top 5 in net rating all year. Unfortunately for the Cavs, the Knicks were able to get whatever they wanted basically all series, getting big buckets when they needed it. Even Jalen Brunson was able to get 48 points, almost a 50 bomb in the closeout game. So once again, all you can really do is congratulate and tip your hats to the Knicks and Jalen Brunson and the rest of the crew. I expected Donovan Mitchell to be a little bit more dominant this series because he is the best playoff performer in this series, and he's had the best performances. Back in Utah, he was just, the young kid on the block just surprising everybody, knocking out the OKC Thunder. He was the leading scorer. He was that guy. Everybody knows back in the bubble, him and Jamal Murray trading back 40-point performances in that 7-game series. So I expected him to really be just the alpha out here. And he didn't have a horrible series, but he wasn't able to really lift his teammates and bring them along for that ride. The next Eastern Conference matchup we're going to speak on is the Boston Celtics versus the Atlanta Hawks. As I mentioned earlier, the Atlanta Hawks were able to beat Miami in the play-in tournament. Unlike the other series, my prediction for this one was pretty spot on. Atlanta didn't really have an answer for the 2-star wings that they have. Trae Young had a couple of great performances, but not enough to really prevail and really give Boston a competitive series. Just enough to really, get them ready for the next round. But I mean, another building block to build towards the next year. It's never anything discouraging to get to the playoffs and, play the best competition around the league. Though I feel that the biggest developing story in this series is the Boston Celtics not being able to put lesser teams away. The thing with the Celtics is they're either the greatest team ever and they're balling and they're firing on all cylinders, or they're just horrible, careless turnovers from their stars, role players, just throwing the ball away, just not knowing what to do. They're also not the biggest team ever. Robert Williams and Al Horford are their primary bigs. Joe Mazzulla still being a rookie head coach. Let's see how he does as they progress in the playoffs and the pressure amounts. I'm not a Celtics fan, but I do believe in Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum is also a ball player. So, I mean, they got to the finals last year. Anything is possible. Anything can happen. These two can go get buckets with the best of them. The last matchup on the eastern side of the playoff bracket was between the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. Yes, the 76ers did sweep the Brooklyn Nets, but this series was pretty close, very competitive. All the games were pretty close until the end, until where the 76ers started to outclass the Nets and show how they can string together tough buckets and to be able to play defense at a high level. I know for the Brooklyn Nets organization, this season probably looked nothing like what they expected, but there was a couple of positive takeaways they can have. Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Nick Claxton, they have a pretty good young core that they can continue to build around. They have a lot of picks, a lot of things moving forward. I think that they need to just continue to stay focused, keep their head down, continue to stay down with their guys, and continue to try to build around them. Philly is definitely in a win-now mindset, so this was a complete and utter victory and complete and utter success for Philly. So I think that they look good, that this was a good matchup for them, that it allowed them to stay loose, that they were in a couple of close games and they were able to come out on top of them, and it didn't look like they struggled. They looked pretty comfortable in the moment. So we'll see if Philly can continue to ball. Heading out west, let's check on everybody's favorite villain, the Joker. So this matchup was the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets were pretty dominant throughout the series. They never really looked like they were really challenged by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jokic had a pretty good series. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter, they was chipping in, giving big timely buckets, good shots when they needed to. The only really bright spot for the Minnesota Timberwolves was Anthony Edwards. He was pretty decent throughout the series, but I mean, he just didn't have enough help to really compete with a team like the Denver Nuggets. Karl-Anthony Towns, Cat, had another very underwhelming playoff run. I mean, he only played 5 games, but he averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. On about 45% shooting. Not the greatest, but I mean, he just wasn't able to elevate his game when his team needed him most. The Timberwolves aren't a horribly constructed team. I mean, they have a bunch of vets like Mike Conley who can go get you big buckets and big times and lead the team. But I mean, there's just no co-star to go with Anthony Edwards when he's trying to match up with these top-tier teams. Karl-Anthony Towns is supposed to be that player, someone who can also drop 25 to 30 points on good shooting, but his shooting dropped way off. His three-point percentage dropped way off, and his intensity and just will to win just was not there. In conclusion, not much to say about this series except for Ant Edwards is a dog. Nikola Jokic is legit. Jamal Murray is an absolute bucket getter, and I mean, it wasn't a fair matchup. Obviously, one team was much better than the other, even though that most of these games were close. But, I mean, I believe in Anthony Edwards, and I believe that the Minnesota Timberwolves can give him enough help to where he can really compete. So, in my opinion, this is probably the most disappointing series of the first round. And I'm going to explain why I feel like it was disappointing, because I just feel like these are two really, really good teams, and this series should have been a complete slugfest. Unfortunately for the Clippers, Paul George's leg made the greater than sign about a month before the playoffs started, and Kawhi Leonard has probably just never been healthy since like 2018 or whenever Zaza Pachulia stepped under his foot. When PG and Kawhi both went out, it instantly went to being Russell Westbrook's team, became that one-man show that he was in Oklahoma City. And, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed it to see Russ once again be able to be the best player on the team and show that he can also still hoop at a high level and not be as disruptive as everyone says that he is. That game 1 in Phoenix that they stole, man, I thought that it was really possible that if Kawhi can just play 2-3 of these games and just hoop out like he did in the 2019 finals, and Russ could just give him, a solid performance, maybe a triple-double here and there, and just good defensive performances, that they could actually do something. But, I mean, that was the only win that they was able to get the whole series. And yeah, at this point, I don't really know what to think about the Los Angeles Clippers, because if any year was the year, this was the year. It's wide open in the West. All the teams are pretty much around the same skill level. It's very competitive. But I feel that we've been saying that the Clippers are just 1 or 2 pieces away from being a championship contending team for like the last 3, 4, 5 years. But I mean, they've picked up some really good pieces. They got Bones Highland. They got Norman Powell, who is a monster whenever he wants to be. Terrence Mann, even Russell Westbrook. Like, the team is really good. It's stacked. It's a lot of good players. The team is extremely deep. You can't really argue that. Ty Lue, he's a great coach. I feel like he's just going to continue to get better and better. He's already has that championship pedigree. And Steve Ballmer, the owner, he's very intertwined with the team. He loves his team, and he's going to continue to pour his funds into it, wanting them to be great. So, I mean, the Clippers have a great foundation. They have a lot of things going for them that they shouldn't be bad no time soon. It's just a matter of getting lucky, staying healthy, having the right plan when the time shows itself. So they need to be able to take down the top teams when they have to. So I believe in them. Let's get it done, Clippers. And I just had to say this shot from old nigga CP right here off one leg, he ain't mean to do that shit. Okay. Yeah, let's get into my favorite series of the first round. Now, these was the real money makers for the NBA. They love these two series. So first, we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors versus the Sacramento Kings. This is another one of them series I would have got wrong if I would have went through in my NBA playoff prediction video, because I definitely had the Kings in 7. I thought that the Kings was just going to be able to outrun the Warriors, that Andrew Wiggins coming back, he wasn't going to be in rhythm, that it was going to take him like 2-3 games to just be able to make a couple shots. But, man, does experience kill? Because I think if you watch the NBA this year, or you watch these two teams closely at least, you would agree that Sacramento has the better overall team. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors are way more top-heavy, and they can obviously go for a lot more points because they're led by 2 of the greatest shooters of all time, if not 1 and 2 the greatest shooters of all time, which is crazy to even think of. But, I mean, this series just shows you can never count Steph Curry out. He's starting to get into that realm of being unstoppable, and nobody in the league has a recipe to stop him. And the Golden State Warriors is a perfect team built for him. With a coach like Steve Kerr who allows him to do what he needs to and what he would like to on the court, with a great supporting cast with players like GP2, Kevon Looney, and then Klay Thompson. You know, he can get you 25 to 30 points any night, maybe even in a quarter. And, you know, Draymond is the heart and soul of the team. So the Golden State Warriors are extremely lethal. But let me talk to De'Aaron Fox in Sacktown. For y'all, tremendous season. Third seed, no one saw that coming. Everybody counted y'all out, especially when y'all were playing the Warriors. I believed in y'all. I saw it coming. If it wasn't for De'Aaron hurting his finger and obviously just a bunch of turn of events and things happening between, like, you know, Draymond stepping on Domantas Sabonis' ribs and him getting elbowed in the eye, it's just basketball. You can never predict what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. So I just say keep working, y'all boys. Great season. I believe in y'all. Hopefully y'all can resign everyone that y'all need to and that y'all can make another run at it again next year. Everybody in California will be Sacramento fans soon enough, except for obviously about the diehard Lakers fans and the new diehard Warriors fans. But the Sacramento Kings might have the best young core in the league right now. They just need to continue to build, come together. Everybody in 4 to 5 years will be trying to light the beam and say that they were down when obviously it was nothing to really cheer about. Surprisingly, this was the series that got the most coverage. This was the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Memphis Grizzlies. So this is everybody's favorite series because of the antics and everything that went on. Also has some of the biggest faces and names in the NBA, such as LeBron James, Ja Morant. But, I mean, it was a okay series. The Lakers was pretty dominant throughout it. Probably the biggest story throughout this series was Dillon Brooks and every comment that he had to make about LeBron James and the Lakers, about how he thinks that this was a good test for them and how LeBron was old. All of those comments aged very, very, very poorly for him. The Lakers were able to get the Grizzlies up out of there in 6 games. They blew them out pretty badly, like 2-3 times, and they were able to steal game 1 in Memphis. From start to finish, the series didn't go how the Memphis Grizzlies intended. I would just say that LeBron James is still top 5 player able to carry his team. Anthony Davis, you know, he's on and off, as in he's either the best player on the court or maybe 5th or 6th on the court. So, I mean, I believe in the Lakers. I believe in what they got going on. I also think that the Memphis Grizzlies will be back with a vengeance next year. 2 years in a row that they've lost to basically the old dog, probably the teams with the best players in that conference. So I feel that Ja Morant and his team is still on the rise, and they still will be a problem and a team to be reckoned with in the future. Little NBA fun fact for you guys. This is the first year that every number seed 1 through 8 has made it out the first round into the second round. This just shows how competitive the NBA is, how many good teams there are, that all of the teams can give each other a run for their money. But, I mean, yeah, let's get into the second round matchups. I'm going to leave the more exciting series for the end. I'm going to start with the ones that I think are the least intriguing. So, first I'm going to do the Miami Heat versus the New York Knicks. I feel that both these teams are good, but I didn't think that either one of these teams would be in this round. I would have definitely loved to see the Cavaliers versus the Milwaukee Bucks. But, I mean, that's just not what we got this year. And it's okay. That's cool. I mess with Jimmy Butler and Jalen Brunson. But let me get into what I think. I think New York fans are on fire right now. And I think that they should enjoy this moment because I don't believe that their team is a top-tier team in the East. So now is the time for the Knickerbockers to capitalize and do something. Because I do believe that they have a better team than the Miami Heat as currently constructed. But the Miami Heat do have 2 stars who have been here before in Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. We've already seen in this playoffs how far experience can take you. And the Miami Heat have a roster full of experience, especially adding Kate Love. But I feel that the Knicks in their youth can outrun this team and work them enough to where they can't really do much with them. So, I mean, if the Knicks can come out here with a good plan, everybody ready to play, and bearing any injuries and anything catastrophic happening, I think it could be a good series. If I was a betting man, I would have to tell you I would bet Heat in 6, just how the series has gone so far, and who I trust the most, especially Jimmy Butler and the rest of those guys. So if I was a betting man, I would definitely bet on the Heat. I would say Game 6 is probably the game that the Knicks go home. But if the Knicks can find a way to win Game 6, they would definitely have all of the momentum in the world going back to the Garden. And there's no way they should lose that game. But I say Jimmy Butler gives them a virtuoso and closes them out in Game 6. But we'll see. Good luck, Knicks fans. A series I had high hopes for was the Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns. This series just never went Phoenix's way. I think Chris Paul got hurt in like Game 2. I really think that they do have two ultimate scorers in Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, but I mean, it's just not enough to beat a well-oiled machine like Denver when they have a two-time MVP, Jamal Murray with something to prove, Michael Porter Jr. who can shoot the lights out. And I guess this just dispels the myth that KD can join any team and just make them a championship contending team. Phoenix was an extremely top-heavy team, not many role players. DeAndre Ayton was in and out. They needed him to be better all series. CP3 is aging, and he's always hurt. I don't know how you're going to really get around that, paying him $30 million a year to play basketball. This is the second year in a row Phoenix has been down by 30 at halftime in an elimination game at home. I believe that there will be some coaching changes in the Valley because of that, because that's a really bad look for 2 years in a row, especially with Kevin Durant this year. I believe that DeAndre Ayton doesn't really want to be there, so they might as well see what they can do. If they can get a good package back for him, at least a couple picks, because they did just let a lot of picks go this year for Kevin Durant. I think that there's a market out there for DeAndre Ayton, but I just feel that his time in Phoenix has to be over, and at least that they need to move on from somebody in their big four. The Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers. This is a very interesting series. I think both of these teams are very good, probably the two best teams in the East. But I'm not really sure. I'm really torn. Seeing Jason Tatum start these last couple games going like 0 for 9 is very concerning for me. Although he did catch fire at the end of the game and basically bailed out the Boston Celtics, I do think that's extremely concerning, especially when all the chips are on the line. If he has another performance where he goes 0 for 10 to start the half, that could very well be the end of the Boston Celtics season this year. And I think that majority of the blame will fall in his lap, in Joe Mazzulla's. And I doubt that the 76ers will allow for the Boston Celtics to beat them again when one of their stars is having an extremely off night all the way until the fourth quarter. This is definitely one of the best series we've got all year. Two highly competitive teams that are both defensive-minded, but both possess high-power offenses. I feel that the Boston Celtics is the team that you can trust more between these two. James Harden, I just don't really trust him in critical times and in big moments, especially in the playoffs. He's shown us year after year that that's not really his thing. I believe in MVP. Joel, he's a monster, and no one on the court can really guard him. Ultimately, this is a team sport, though, so if he doesn't get anybody to come along with him, then it's basically impossible for him to do anything to compete with a team like the Boston Celtics, which is a high-powered machine. Fortunately for the 76ers, the Boston Celtics haven't been having the greatest of series, but obviously they can turn it on at any time with the two star wings that they have. And also, this is really, really, really big game for Doc Rivers. He cannot afford to lose this. He's been having this problem for about like a better half of a decade now. So if he can continue to lose these 3-2 leads, especially when he just had a game at home that he could have wrapped it up and allowed the rest of the Boston Celtics to jump out on them, this might really start to look worse and worse for Doc for his career. I would say Celtics in 7. I would love to see the 76ers do it, though. I would love to see Embiid get to a finals. It's going to take a lot of individual greatness, luck, and James Harden hooping. So good luck. The Los Angeles Lakers versus the Golden State Warriors. The shooting GOAT versus the LeGOAT. So I honestly believe whoever wins this series is probably going to go on to win the championship. Might not be true, but that's my early prediction. So I guess you could say this is our early NBA Finals. Steph is pretty much unstoppable. You can send as many people at him as you please, but he's going to either break your double team, either shoot the ball before you guys can get close enough, or just do whatever works for that play just because he's that good. In theory, this shouldn't even really be a series because the Warriors have no one who can really guard Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis was just so in and out, really good one game, mediocre to bad another game, the series would probably be over in 5. But I definitely say Lakers is 6 because of one man and one man only, and that would be Mr. LeGoat James. All right, so if everything goes according to plan, the Eastern Conference Finals should be the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics, and the Western Conference Finals should be the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets. I believe that both of these series will be tremendous. Both the Nuggets and the Heat will love to knock out teams that knocked them out in previous playoff runs. The more recent one is the Heat. Last year, the Heat and the Boston Celtics went all the way to Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, so now we get a rematch. Best believe Jimmy has been waiting for his get back all year, and he would love to eliminate the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, the same thing that they did to him last year. It was just one shot away, literally a little bit more of a flick of his wrist away from going to the finals last year. So does the Heat have what they need to get across that finish line? Boston also feels that they have unfinished business from last year, losing in the finals to the Warriors. For Denver, they were eliminated by the Lakers in the 2020 playoffs in the Western Conference Finals back in the bubble. I know everybody remembers Bubble Murray. He was definitely a fan favorite for those 3 months. Since then, I do believe he's torn his ACL in his left knee. He's been through a couple of injuries, a couple ups and downs, but I believe in Jamal Murray. He's an absolute bucket getter. Perfect type of combo guard to go with Yoke. If they can just get hot at the right times, everybody can gel, and they can hit shots and defend at a high level, I believe that they have a really high chance of winning the championship, that they can match up with a lot of teams very well. But, I mean, you have to get past LeGoat James and AD. I'm not here to waste no time, so let's just talk about how I think the Western Conference Finals is going to go. The Lakers have not had a home court advantage in both of the series that they've played in so far, but have managed to win Game 1 in each one of the series. I don't think that they're going to win Game 1 versus Denver necessarily, but I think that they'll probably get one in Denver. So I don't know if it's Game 1 or Game 2, but I do believe that they'll probably split. Both the Lakers and the Nuggets are yet to lose a home game in the playoffs, so I believe that it's imperative for LeBron and the crew to try to get it done as soon as possible. This Nuggets team is a completely different team than the one that they beat in the bubble, so I think that the Lakers should be on their P's and Q's. But I know that LeBron is always going to be ready. And that energy is contagious. I feel that the Lakers are in a great spot, as healthy as anybody in the playoffs currently. They have probably the most experience left in the playoffs, maybe besides Miami. So I honestly feel that this series is going to be super tough. This could be the year for Denver that they finally break through. They are the number 1 seed. Their team is deep, and they have all the pieces that they need to take that leap with Jokic playing at all-star, all-NBA, all-timely levels. I have to give him his props because I didn't expect him to be able to do this for as long as he is. But if I had to bet, once again, if I was a betting man at the casino, I would definitely put my money on Lakers in 6. Bron is like Brady for me, man. It just feels very idiotic for me to bet against him. Every time I think that he's down and out, he puts the crown back on and goes for another 30-point triple-double. At damn near 40 years old, is he even human? Unfortunately, Bron is no longer at the peak of his powers. He's still able to do everything, just not at the level that he used to be able to, or lead his team and carry his team how he used to be able to, but very dangerous. So Nuggets, be aware. But this is your year to make history. I believe in you. Now let's talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. The absolute dogfight is going to be. The Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics have played each other plenty of times in the past couple of seasons in the playoffs. They're very familiar with each other and know what each other want to do and what they're good at. So I absolutely have no idea who's going to win this series, to be honest. I would have never picked Jimmy Butler to get past Giannis Antetokounmpo. He did that. I had a feeling that I would have bet that they would beat the Knicks. I was definitely more confident in them. But, I mean, this series, it could definitely go either way. I'm definitely done underrating Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler can go head up with anybody, especially 0 for 9, 0 for 10, 0 for 13. Jason Tatum. And Jaylen Brown, it's like he's mad at the Boston organization. It's like he's there, but he doesn't really want to be there 100%. And I understand because they have been playing him to the side, and he was there before Jason. And I honestly feel that both of them are winning players, obviously. But I feel like Jason Tatum is more of a flashy player. Jaylen Brown is the gritty, more winning type of player. For the most part, Jaylen Brown's going to fight you until the game's over. And this Boston team has been together for a while now. They know each other a lot. They've built a lot of chemistry. They know what to do in big moments. For example, Game 6 versus the 76ers. Jason Tatum had been having a horrible game all game. Stepped up in the fourth quarter, hit 4 threes in a row to put his team over the finish line to get them to the Game 7. That type of trust, that type of experience, that type of confidence is what they need to be able to win series like this against the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler. And with all that being said, I feel like it's the year of the Heat. Turn up, MIA. The Miami Heat is the true underdog that you can never count out. I think it will also be poetic if the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat can meet in the finals again. I think a rematch of the 2020 finals in the bubble wouldn't be too bad for the NBA ratings. And I feel that both these teams meeting again would be very competitive. And if Jimmy Butler is truly able to get his first ring and halt LeBron from getting his 5th ring, that will be the complete Cinderella story in the modern NBA for years to come. They would definitely start working on that 30 for 30 immediately, release it in the next 5 years. The Lakers and the Heat were both playing teams when the playoffs started. So if either one of them can get to the finals, they would both be the first playing team to ever get to the finals. So I kind of spoiled who I thought would win a little bit earlier in the video if you watched the whole video, but I will just tell you now. I believe that the Los Angeles Lakers will be the 2023 NBA champions this year. LeBron James will probably get another finals MVP. I feel that they'll probably be able to beat them in about 6 games. I think that the Lakers will have home court advantage if they play them. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, King James, enough said. Retro Gang, we appreciate y'all for watching the video. We ask that y'all like, subscribe, comment, and share. In the comment sections, let us know what y'all thought about the video and our picks, and let us know what y'all think is going to happen. Appreciate it for watching the video. Love all of our Retro Gang. We'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.